Here we go. Click the little got it button and that'll go away. But good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here this morning. I appreciate everyone showing up. I know it's hot out there and it's sticky and a little bit icky out there. So I appreciate you guys all showing up today. And hopefully you are someplace cool where you're not out in it. Except for the First American ladies. I know they're in their cars driving somewhere right now. But thank you all for being here. So let's go ahead and start with some introductions. First, I just want to introduce Luke Smith, the escrow manager at Escrow, Joshua Tree Escrow. Go ahead, Luke, say hi and let us know, is there anything you want to share with us about what's happening in escrow?
Nothing too crazy. I know we're in a little bit of a slowdown period. Things are changing, but we're still closing escrows, which is good. I don't really have anything else to say. Sorry, I'm driving in my car.
No, that's okay. Well, actually, you know what? No news from escrow is good news, right? If you're not experiencing any traumas over there, that's good news for all of us. So we're glad to hear it. And hearing that you're still closing escrows is very, very hopeful. I know that we're in a little bit of a weird space right now where the buyers and sellers heads aren't matching up quite exactly, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. But it's good to hear that you guys are still doing business over there and getting stuff done for us. So thank you. We appreciate you.
Yes,
Absolutely.
you.
All right, and then next I have I'm going to go with Josh. Josh, our VP of Marketing, is here to say hi this morning and introduce himself and share some updates about what's going on with marketing.
Hello, everyone. I'm Josh Pringle, co-founder and vice president of Liasco Partners parent company, and I am all things media. So postcards, if you need open house flyers, if you want something a little special. This was for a $3.4 million house, so he didn't want something that was just kind of generic and run of the mill. It also comes in like a nice little green treatment, and then house flyers. So if you have a new listing, partner with me. These can also be made via the Moxie as well. So Jeff can also partner with us and make those in there as well. But if you need something a little special for a unique listing, I'm always here and happy to help. All things marketing are really great. Everything is wonderful and colorful and beautiful as always, and I'm here and happy to help anyone. If you're having any trouble with your social media postings, please reach out to me. I'm here and happy to help with those. I'm kind of steering towards doing more of our social media piece for some of the agents that just don't have time to get in and post their new listings and things like that. I'm here to happy to help with those.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, that
Thanks.
sounds like a wonderful new service that we might be adding, but we appreciate you. Thank you. Up next, I have Jeff Rayborn, our greenhouse and technology specialist. Jeff, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How is everyone?
Good, good. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. It's great to be here. So guys, there's a lot going on in the world of tech with Better Homes and Gardens right now. We've just launched Moxie, which is our new sales platform, our CRM, our presentation tool. You name it, it has it. It even has, a blast text feature, which I've already been utilizing to communicate with the brokerage on training dates and etc. But yeah, I would love to sit with you and show you the product, show you what it can do, and show you how easily it is to do it as well. We had a training this past Wednesday, and I think there was a lot of aha moments. People saw some things that they were not aware that this particular program would be able to do, and I'm going to tell you there's some impressive stuff in there. So I would love to sit down. You can contact me, and we'll book an hour or so, and we'll get you all set up and running.
Absolutely. Over the last week, I've probably had 3 people reach out to me with some sort of a need, whether it was a listing presentation, and that, to be honest, was mostly what it was. They needed a listing presentation or some sort of social media marketing graphic. Josh can help you with the individual stuff, and Jeff can always help you with anything through Moxie. And so can Josh, by the way. Like, we can all help you with any of that stuff in Moxie, but Jeff is really good at sitting you down and kind of going through the tool and figuring out exactly what parts of it you need so that he can make sure that you focus on those. So I know Jeff has been in front of all kinds of people in the last week, and so has Josh. He's had tons of appointments. So again, thank you, gentlemen, both, for everything you do for our agents. We appreciate it very much. All right. So I also want to introduce Catherine and Dawn. They're on the call with us today. I know you guys are driving, so if one of you wants to unmute yourself and just say hi, would love to have you guys introduce yourselves.
Hey guys, I will pop in real quick. Catherine, and if I were at a red light, I would totally turn my camera on just so I could show that my face I'm made up today. I'm out in the world. We're kicking butt. And yes, if I could quickly mention a couple things to go in tandem with not only escrow, but with your marketing team, all who are amazing at what they do. Because of the slowdown, thank you. Thank goodness we're not in this crazy reactive mode that we all were once in, where we didn't have time to really breathe. We were just executing. The thing that I would say is, if you have listings and you are partnering with us for your title, please open your listing prelims so we can really do a thorough review with you to make sure everything is buttoned up for when you go into escrow. I know Luke and his team do appreciate when we can get a head start on any problems, and then we're not chasing it in your escrow trying to close in 15 days. And this little trough that we're in is actually allowing us to get kind of back to our grassroots and our foundation and how we do business. So I highly recommend getting your listing prelims, again, if you are partnering with us for title. And then with marketing, with your amazing Jeff and Josh. Yes, we're here to help you with your farms. Since you just mentioned, Jeff, this text campaign that I just got super excited hearing about. Our portal does allow your agents to purchase telephone numbers and email addresses. So it sounds like that could work very nicely in tandem for your marketing efforts. So just remember us from the marketing side as well. And again, if you need a reboot on training, from prelims to kind of putting our heads together, brainstorming for marketing ideas and whatnot, just remember your title partners. So thanks, Steph. Appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, ladies. Dawn, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yes, if it's okay, just to add to what Catherine said. Hi, everybody. And same thing, I'm driving from one place to another. But I do want to let you know it's really great to reach out to us pre-listing appointment for a property profile. We can give you not only the profile, we can give you the seat so you know exactly who you should be sitting in front of when you go on that listing appointment. We can also give you any public liens on the home, HOA information, school information. We can give you a tax roll, an abundance of information, so when you walk into your listing appointment, you are 100% prepared. Once you have a signed contract, that's when you reach out to us and ask for what Catherine's talking about, which is the preliminary title report. And that would be after the contract, but pre-contract, please reach out to us. We have a team email. It's your title partners with an S at firstam.com. When you email us there, you can ask for anything you'd like. We'd all love to be an extension of your team. There's 4 of us. And so we are here for you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, ladies, so very much. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, just again, I just want to reiterate that we have sort of, since I've been working with Catherine and Dawn in my affiliation through Better Homes and Gardens, we have been doing these marketing meetings with the ladies, and even sometimes with Josh included, that have been really beneficial and really helpful to the agents that are doing them, because they have some unique perspectives, with Dawn's experience in real estate, but also with her father being a home builder, and with Catherine and her extensive marketing background, and Valerie with her extensive title background. They're just a really well-rounded team. And so if you haven't had a chance to sit down with them yet, I think most everybody on this call has sat with them and me at one point or another. But if you haven't had a chance to sit down with them and have a conversation, I highly recommend it. And I highly recommend you involve me in that conversation. It's generally just, it's really helpful for me when I know what's going on in your business, and the model that we have allows me to not be involved in your business, but just know what's happening with it so that I can help to guide you to meet your goals. And so the ladies have been wonderful in that partnership. And I definitely recommend, if you haven't had an opportunity to bring them into your business, definitely give them a shot, give them a try. It's well worth it. And there's a lot of value packed in those 4 people. So thank you guys so much for everything you do for us. Let's see, I want to get to the meat of what we're going to talk about today, which is the desert housing report. I'm not going to go through all the details. I'm actually really going to kind of just cover the first couple pages and let you guys sort of review some of it on your own as well. What I'd like to do is, we've gone through this report before where I've sort of just read it to you and we've had some conversation about it. But what I really would like to do is get to a place where you guys can open this report when you get it every month, take a look at it, and really have it help you in guiding your conversations with your clients. It's a very concise report that comes out every month, and it's distributed through both of the local associations in the desert. So let me share my screen real quick and get it up in front of you guys. Oh dear, where did it just go? All right, I don't know what just happened. Hold on, let me find it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Share screen. Okay. So you guys should be able to see the desert housing report now. We're gonna skip past the map page, and what I really kind of want to focus on is the summary a little bit. I wanted to talk about some things that I saw in here that I thought were interesting. The median price of a detached home is at 700,000. That is the same as last month, but it's up 17% over last year and up $30,000 over 2 months ago. So what's interesting to me about that is that it feels like prices are sort of holding right now. In some cases, we're seeing a lot of price reductions in listings, but closed prices are still holding fairly strong. So that's an interesting thing to think about. One of the things that I keep talking about and that we keep sharing is that we're in this weird little space right now where the buyers and sellers' heads haven't caught up with each other. And every time we have a shift, this happens, regardless of which way the shift goes. There's a moment where the buyers' minds are not in line with the sellers' minds. And right now, it seems like that's where we're at. And I've had some conversations with a few agents lately that have been pounding out their phone calls and doing everything that they're supposed to do. And based on the numbers that we've all kind of run and have figured out, how many calls they need to make and how many contacts and appointments and all that fun stuff. But they're just not getting the results from the calls that they're having. And so we've had some of our agents have had to increase the number of calls they're making, increase the amount of time. And whether you're using a lead gen system or whether you're just calling your sphere or you're calling one of the farms that the ladies at First American can help you with, it seems to me like we're having to put in a little bit more time right now. And so my suggestion to all of you is don't get discouraged. Just know that if it's not coming right now, it's not an excuse. And I know nobody wants to have a reason that we're not doing it. But what I'm saying is make sure you keep going. Just keep pushing through, because you will get those appointments. Those calls will work. All the old systems that you have will continue to work, especially the really old school ones. Those tend to plug in really, really well when we're in a bit of a shift, and you kind of go back to some of that stuff that you do when things aren't so busy and aren't so easy to get those transactions. I also noticed what else was interesting on here to me was that the median price of an attached is at 490,000, and cities with gains over 40% in the attached market are Bermuda Dunes, Desert Hot Springs, Indio, and Rancho Mirage. Again, we were so depressed. Our prices on condos were so depressed for so long because you could buy a single family home for the price of a condo. And now, of course, condos are back in the mix for a lot of people because they just have to have more to look at in order to be able to find something. But that also brings us to our total sales. The average total sales in June was 923. That's 23% less than last year and 7% below pre-pandemic levels. So the number of transactions that are happening are lower, but it does seem like prices have stayed steady. And then the 12-month average is 893 units. And I think that's important because that number takes out, when you do the 12-month average, it takes all seasonality out. And so we know that on average, about 900 homes are selling per month. And historically, that's about what it's been. I would say since I've been kind of reviewing those numbers is probably the last 10 years, it was somewhere between 800 to 1,000 units that we're selling every month. And we're still holding really well, really strong at that number. And again, the places where you're seeing the declines right now in La Quinta, 43%, and Palm Desert is 24% down year over year. But Desert Hot Springs is up 14%. And that's important to note just because the price point there is lower and there's so much competition. So that area is just booming and moving. What you do need to be aware is if most of your transactions are in La Quinta and La Quinta is down 43%, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to analyze your farm and the neighborhoods that you sell in the most to see what's happening there. And if you'd like to do that, I definitely want you to set an appointment with the First American ladies because they can help review your farms and make sure maybe you need to expand it. That's one thing we've been looking at a lot is that our agents are having to expand their farms out so that they have more people to call and more people to reach out to. And so that might be something that's worthwhile, but also set an appointment with me or include me in that marketing meeting. And I'm happy to strategize with you on some things that we might be able to do to increase. I'm hearing a few things from the agents right now that you guys all want to increase your price point. Of course, that's always the case. We always want to increase the price point, but that you're also maybe wanting to increase the number of people that you're reaching out to. And so if you need some ideas on how to do that, you're more than welcome to set that appointment with me or the First American ladies or all of us, and we'll sit down and have that chat. I think to me, those were probably some of the most interesting things that I saw. No, there was something else that I wanted to mention. On inventory, or July 1st, our inventory was at 1,531 units. That's 877 more than last year. And I want us all to just stop and think about that for a second. 877 units, it's 134% increase year over year in inventory. We're currently at 1.7 months of inventory. We're up from 1.3 last month and up from 1.1 a year ago. So that climb has been slow. And then all of a sudden there's a little bump. We're still below our normal of 3 to 3.5 months of inventory for summer. Our average normal is around 6 months of inventory is what we always used to say, but we haven't seen 6 months of inventory in so long. I don't even remember when the last time was that we saw it. And then our days on market right now are 21 days on average across the Coachella Valley, 6 days less than last year. Palm Springs is still holding really strong at 15 days and Desert Hot Springs at 16 days. So once again, with those closing dates, it's so important for you guys to be pulling that property profile in advance so that with a 15-day close time, you don't have an extra week to mess around with things that are going to come up in a transaction. So absolutely make sure, once again, I really didn't think I was going to wave the First American flag so much this morning, but once again, you really want to make sure you're jumping on those prelims and property profiles so that, or property profile and then prelim, so that you make sure that you're able to resolve any issues up front. And of course, you can always work with escrow on that once you get into escrow, but it's so much better if we can have some of that stuff resolved in advance. Those days on market numbers are interesting to me again, because we used to say that when you get a listing in 45 days, you had a paycheck, and now it's less than 30. And so what that tells me, and what that tells me for you guys, is that you all need to be picking up any listing you can find right now. Listings. And we always say that listings are leverage. He who controls the listings controls the market, but it's really true. Whatever you can do to get those listings right now, they're a paycheck in 31 days. I did also want to just mention one last thing on the discount premiums here. That at the end of June, it was a 54.2%. Oh, I'm sorry, 54.2% of the homes sold above list price, which also means that 50 or 46% did not sell above list price. And so that's just something to think about with when your sellers are wanting to put that list that property way high. This is a really good item to just share with them, that this is what the reality is. And in more normal times, that number is around 10%. And so just be aware of that, like that as we go back into a more normalized market, which I still don't think that we're at. I wouldn't call what we got right now normal, but as it goes back to normalize, what they should be looking for is maybe that increase of 10% as opposed or that about 10% of the homes will sell for over ask as opposed to 54%. So it won't be nearly as many that are getting that. And we're seeing already more people doing inspections and not waiving, any of the stuff that they waived before. However, we are working right now. I had a wonderful meeting yesterday with the folks at Geneva Financial, and we're working on some sort of an agreement with them. That they have a program where they're able to basically fully underwrite the client, and it's basically like a cash deal at that point. And it's a very interesting program. It's not as simple as I just made it sound, but it's a very interesting program, and we're really excited and very hopeful that we'll be able to bring that to you guys. But that's another thing that you really need to be doing right now, is sitting down and talking with your lenders about, you don't need to be the lender, you don't need to know the programs, but what you do need to know is just where things are at and what are some of the challenges that they're seeing, so that you can kind of help guide your clients. This really is a time for us to be reaching back out to those vendors and reestablishing those relationships, to make sure that we have all the tools at our disposal that we need to get this job done for the clients. Anyway, I feel like I've probably talked enough about this. We can go over a couple of the slides. There's one that I always think is interesting, which is this price of the average size of a home in the Coachella Valley. And this gives you averages, it gives you prices. These are amazing numbers to be able to take with you on listing appointments. They can definitely be helpful. And if you ever need help in figuring out how to interpret this data to take it on a listing appointment to help overcome any objections, just please reach out to me. And or any of us, we're all happy to help with it, but please just reach out and we're happy to sit down with you and kind of help you interpret this report so that you can take it. And I really do feel like this could be something you take on every listing appointment, not necessarily to leave behind with the client, but just to help you illustrate some key facts that will help those sellers to be able to get in line with reality about where the buyers' heads are at. Because that's our job right now. That's our only job, is basically educating sellers on where the buyers' heads are at and what's happening in the market so that they can leverage and get the most for their property. And again, we know that properties are inventory is still scarce. It's getting better, but it's still scarce. So homes are still selling relatively quickly, and really the homes that are in the best condition right now are the ones that are moving the fastest. And so it's probably time to, where we would just slap a sign in the front yard a little while ago, it's time to sit down and really think about what needs to be done to a property before we put it on market, getting it, making sure that we're just putting our best foot forward. But again, if you ever have challenges with this stuff and need help with it, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to go over some more of these slides and help you figure out how to interpret this information so that you can use it on your next appointment. Did you guys have any questions for me on that? I do see something in the chat. I see it totally. Wonderful. Is there anything else? Do you guys have any questions or any thoughts? Like, I want to hear from you guys what you're hearing out in the field. What kind of objections are you getting? Eric, are you getting any objections from any of your sellers? You've done quite a few listings lately, and I'm curious, what are the objections you're hearing from sellers right now?
The most common objection is, if I sell right now, where do I go?
We've had this conversation before, right? Well, fortunately, inventory is up, but where are your sellers? The sellers that you've had, are they looking to relocate and stay within the desert, or are they looking to relocate outside of the desert?
Stay in the desert.
Okay.
55 and up, versus the condo that was normal. And then the other objection that I heard the other day was, I already have an agent, and I was brainstorming with Morgan on that one, and I seen it happen with a friend of mine that listed his house with Will Cook, and those agents, they don't care. Like, it's a house in Demuth Park, and he overpriced it like insane, and he did it price drop by $80,000.
Sure.
And yeah, so my objection, overcome that objection, I've been saying that those agents have a big book of business and they're not really paying attention, and they're not going to get that catered concierge service that someone else that is a smaller book of business would provide.
That does remind me of going up against an on-site sales office a little bit. When somebody dominates a market or dominates a neighborhood, and whether it's an on-site sales office or let's just say the Jumberg team at Sun City, my script for that, one of my favorite scripts for that, is that I only care about selling your home. I can promise you that on-site sales team, they don't care which home they sell today. And when a buyer walks in, they're going to sell them any one of the 24 that they have listed. But I care about getting your home sold. So who would you like to have working for you? And then you stop.
Yeah, that's really good. Like, I like that a lot.
Right? Because you want to get them really thinking about it. You don't owe me anything, and you don't owe anyone else anything. You don't owe another agent anything. You owe yourself the very best. So I want to revisit that. You said that you were getting an objection that they already had an agent. What was the actual objection though?
That they were already
the house is already listed.
I did call someone in Little Beverly Hills, and then it went on the market with John White a couple days later.
Okay. So my script for that, when it's not already listed, if it's already listed, my answer is always, you've got a great agent, congratulations, and I move on. I'm not trying to solicit somebody else's listing. However, this one kind of reminds me a little bit of sort of an open house script when somebody walks in and they already have an agent. I do some exploratory conversation to find out what I have an agent means, because many people now know that if you just say I have an agent, no one will bother you. Most agents won't bother you. So my question is, when somebody says, oh, I'm working with an agent, I'm like, oh, great. How long have you been searching for a home? And how long have you been looking, or how's the home search going? That's one of my favorite ones. Like, how's the home search going? And then they just start telling you. They start telling you if they've got an amazing agent. They start telling you if their agent's terrible. The one that I end up hearing a lot is like, my cousin is my agent, but she lives in LA, and I've been getting other people to open doors. And anytime that happens, I'm like, wow, that's got to be hard. How are you doing that? How's that working for you? And
Yeah.
and then you just start digging in, and it's again almost a little bit like the FISBO problem presentation, where you're just showing them that they have a problem enough to let them know that they really need you. And so, especially with the ones where somebody's got a family member, I'll bring up a referral every time. I'm like, well, would it be easier for you if you worked with somebody local, but they got paid a piece of the commission as well? Like, would that be beneficial to you? Because I'm happy to pay them a
That's good.
referral, right? And I'll throw that out anytime when there's a licensee involved. I don't mind doing that. Some other people will wait until they're asked for one, but for me, it sometimes that tends to be an in on the conversation, where I can just get them sort of talking about what's happening. Or I will share with them, and this was a script that one of my business partners used to use. This one I am not taking credit for. It was amazing though. When he would ask them how the home search is going, and then they would start talking. He would say, well, let me just share with you how I do business. So every day I'm on the MLS and I'm looking for the best properties, because I know the best properties always sell. So when I find the home that's right for you, how would you like me to tell you about it? And then he hands them a pen, and there's a sheet of paper in front of them, whether it's a sign-in sheet or a spiral bound notebook. He normally was just a spiral bound notebook, but it was literally his way of like saying, okay, now and this is why I always share with you guys that I'm looking for ways to earn the right to ask for your information. I think that script earns the right to ask for the information, because I just told you what a hard worker I am. I told you how I do my business. And now when I find the house that's right for you, like, how should I tell you about it? And you hand them the pen, and they will literally start writing down their information. And it's almost like as if it's magic, but it's really not. It's, you just process them through help. And if they really truly are signed with somebody, again, I'm not trying to solicit somebody that has a buyer broker agreement. I'm not trying to solicit somebody that's already listed with another agent. But you don't owe them anything, and you don't really owe me anything, but you owe yourself the very best. So you want the best person working for you, right? And would it be worth 15 minutes of your time for us to just meet so you could have a second opinion? And sometimes that'll help get you in enough to be able to get to the place where you can have a conversation. I always feel like once I'm in the house, it's mine to lose. Once I get to the place where they let me cross through the threshold, it's mine to lose. And I know you all do so well in front of people when you're actually one-on-one with somebody, especially you, Eric. I know you do really well with that when you're one-on-one with people. So anything you can do to get your foot through the door. And again, we want to remain ethical. If somebody has an agreement with someone, then we're not going to trespass against that. But at the same time, if they don't have a signed agreement, which most of them don't, most people don't have a signed agreement. And when you dig a little deeper, and at some point you get to the place where you can ask that question, well, let me ask, have you signed an agreement with that current agent? Because if I just want you to have the best service possible. And if you ever feel like you'd like a higher level of service, please feel free to reach out to me. Right?
Yeah, that sounds really good. I like that a lot. Thanks.
Do you guys have any other feedback on that? Any other input, or what are any other objections that you're getting, if there are any others? If not, we can skip to needs and wants. All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Who's got any needs or wants? Anybody have a new listing coming up, or a buyer that needs something? You took yourself off mute, Eric. Did you have something?
I did have another one.
Go for it.
I got this guy on the phone who's interested in selling, but he was feeling like he missed the market. Like, he's like, oh, the interest rates are high now. I missed it. I don't know. I might just hold on to it. What do you say to that?
So my question is, what does selling it do for you? What will it do for you if you were to sell it? Where would you go? What would you do next with the proceeds? Is it a primary residence?
Yes.
So that's another one where we're going to be looking where we're going to go next, right? So, I mean, the conversation's earlier than it was 60 days ago. We just talked about that with the inventory being up so much more. So there's much more to look at, but you guys are going to have to be really good about figuring out what those alternative solutions are. What's the next move? What's important to him when he sells this house and goes to the next one, Eric? Is it that he wants to downsize? Does he want less responsibility? What's the reason that he would sell?
I think the important thing would be that he gets top dollar, and he's kind of feeling like he missed out on that. So
Well, what
he
does
might
top
as well
dollar
just
do
stay
for him?
put.
What does top dollar
Gets
do for
him,
him?
it gets him in the door somewhere else.
What's important about that for him?
He's able to find something else that he can afford.
But what does the something else do for him? Because I want to get to the actual motivation of why would you want to pack all of your belongings and move them in potentially the month of August? What is does
I
this
think that
do?
was
What
the
does it do
problem.
for you?
That was the
Well, it's
problem. I
not because
couldn't get
if
over
well,
that
that's
distance.
just it. If he can't get to that past that place, then he might not have the motivation. But you want to dig into that more. Maybe it's as simple as just asking that question. What's his name?
Oh, I don't remember. I have it in my bag.
That's okay. His
We'll
name's
say
going to
his
be
name's
Eric.
John.
Okay, John. So John, John, I've been thinking about you a lot, and this is what I've been thinking about you a lot. Script is another one of my favorites. It lets people know that they've been on your
I
mind
like,
and they feel
yeah.
cared for, right? And it's true. Yeah, I've been thinking about you a lot, and I'm just curious. If you were to sell this place, and let's just say you could get the top dollar you were looking for, where would you want to go next, and what would that look like for you? And really figure that out, have that conversation with him. I think you probably need to go back a step and sit down and have that conversation with him and dig deep into and explain the reason that this is important is because in order for me to be able to help you move from the current house that you're in and into the next situation, I really need to know what all of this does for you so that I can kind of make sure that that all your needs are met throughout the transaction. What it really ends up doing for you though is it gives you his motivation so that you can guide him with his motivation. If you dangle the carrot of your commission in front of the client, that's not ever going to motivate a client unless maybe it's your mom. Then or you know what I mean? Like unless it's a family member that really wants to see you do well, then they will do it. But if you got to dangle whatever the thing is that's important to the client. So if that is if that's that they want to downsize, if it's that it's I don't know, you really have to figure out what the thing is. What is the thing that's motivating them to make the move so that you can utilize that along the way to keep them on track? Because just like I do with you guys, I know what all of your motivations are and I use that. Hi there. Give me just one sec, guys. I'm just on our office Zoom meeting for the week. It's okay.
No sound. There you go. Well, I took notes on that and he answered all my questions. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm going to call him back today and see what I can do. Good. Oh, wait, can't hear you still. No, still
there we
silent.
go. No,
There you
that's
go.
better. Perfect. Okay. Sorry, I just turned it off so you guys didn't have to hear that conversation. So apologize. Okay, so where were we with your client? Yeah, I want you to go back to him and just sit him down and say, hey, listen, I've been thinking about you. And here's maybe the angle I would go with at it is, you know, you're absolutely right that the peak has passed us, but we are still seeing some interesting things. And I think the main thing to remind that seller of is that prices are or that demand is still very, very high. So because of the lack of inventory that's out there, while we're seeing some listing prices come down, the closing prices are still very solid. And you're absolutely right. There's uncertainty in front of us. I don't know what's going to happen in 3 to 6 months, but I do know where we're at now, and it's still a very strong market. So if you're interested and you want to strategize, let's go ahead and sit down. Let's get together and sit down and come up with a plan to get you out of this place and into the next one. How does that sound? Right. And then that'll get you back in the door and you go back and have the conversation with him and say, hey, listen, I've been thinking about you a ton. I really want to help you figure this out. So tell me, what's important to you in the next place that you're going to live? What's important to you in that next place? You really got to move the focus to that and the why. What's the reason to do it? Because if you don't get to the why, you're not going to have the thing you need to motivate him in the future. Does that make sense? When things get tough,
Yeah.
just like with you guys, when I know what your why is, when we did all those vision boards and I now know what the things are that drive you, I'm able to use that to help you move forward towards your goals, right? Because if I was trying to move you forward towards my goals on my vision board, it wouldn't do you any good, right? You're not going to connect with my vision board the way you're going to connect with yours. So that's the kind of thing I want you to sit down and really do sort of like a mental vision board with him about what does he want that next chapter in his life to look like. And then you'll probably be able to sort of figure that out. And if you don't come up with it on your own, don't sit there by yourself. Feel free, call us, call me, call Josh. We'll all help to strategize with you to help figure out what that next move might be for that client. But I definitely think sitting down with him and getting into the motivation, these are the kind of conversations we got to have, guys. And these are going to take a little bit of time for us to get back to the place where we're used to this practice. But this is how we used to have to talk to clients. It's been a really long time. I just saw a meme the other day that said, for those who've only been in the business since 2019, a price reduction is when you have to lower the price of the house to sell it. And I think it's very indicative of where we are. It has been such a feeding frenzy for so long that now we're going to have to get back to being really, really good at honing those conversations and having difficult ones with our clients. We haven't had to have a hard conversation with a seller in a long time, so it's interesting. But the conversations with buyers, I don't want to say they're going to get easier because it's harder to qualify and cash isn't as flowing as freely as it was. But at the same time, it's easier to find those qualified buyers something to purchase. As a matter of fact, one of our agents just made an offer on a property for herself, and she was able to make a single offer and get the property accepted, get the offer accepted. So we're definitely seeing things loosen up a little bit as far as that goes for the buyers. It's all good news.
Can I ask you what your prediction is on how long this little weird space is going to last before we get into like what happens after that?
I don't know. I don't know what the next thing is. All that I know is that the market doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I have to just go to work and do what I do every day. I got to make my calls. I've got to go lead generate just like you guys do. And that's all we need to do. Just, I keep saying this. Everybody's like, what's the next thing? What do I do? And I was just having a conversation with an agent the other day that I was looking to recruit. And we talked about watching agents walk through like conferences, and you watch them walking through the exhibit hall. And they're like, I was walking with one of my business partners and he looked at me and he said, do you see what's happening here? Like, do you see they're all walking around here looking for the next magic beans or silver bullet that they can buy? And in all reality, everybody just needs to go back to the office and make your phone calls and build relationships. The agents that I'm hearing that are most successful right now during the shift are the ones that are relationship based. The ones that were transactional based are really struggling right now. And so keep building those relationships and just keep getting into deeper relationships with your client. Every time you meet with them, I want you to learn something new about them and make a note of it so that you can utilize that later. But yeah, things are about to change in that it's not going to be, I don't like to use the word easy because I don't think the last 2 years was easy. I think it was real tough in lots of ways, but it's about to get tough in a different way. And so we just have to sharpen those skills again. But as far as my prediction, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't need to know. All I know is that I need to go to work every day and do what I've always done. And that's make my calls and make my contacts and build relationships. So I think you guys should do the same. I hope you do the same. And I don't have anything else for you today. Do you guys have any needs or wants that you want to share? Eric, do you have anything coming up or any buyers that need anything for?
No,
All right.
that was great. Thank you, Stephanie.
My pleasure. My pleasure. We are still planning on, I don't have any save the dates for right now because the last few weeks it's been a little nuts, but we are still planning on doing a couple more sessions. I'm going to do that life of an escrow session and then how to like successfully take a lease, what to do with a lease when you get it. Those are coming up. I also just, like I said, we had an amazing conversation with our lender, a potential lender that we might be joining forces with. And they had some classes on a few things that they wanted to teach too, like the flow of a transaction, like what happens. And so there's some really exciting content coming up that we're going to have for you guys. And most of it we'll try to do live as long as there's no outbreak. We'll try to do most of it live. And then, yeah, if you guys have any other needs, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be around. I've got a couple meetings out of the office today, but just call or text, and I'll be available this weekend as well. As well as I'm sure Josh and Jeff and Luke and everybody else will be available if you need them. You guys have a great Friday and have a great weekend, and don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything I could do.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.